covered a national poll yesterday, an Emerson poll. This poll comes out month by month by month. And I made the point that this poll is actually really important because it gives you a pin into where the candidates are before the debate. So you can use this somewhat as a gauge to see where they fall as they pursue it, as they go through month by month by month, going through these debates. I made the point that one Democratic senator, or one Democratic socialist, Bernie Sanders, has somewhat of a problem lurking in that debate that he has to deal with. Mainly that people weren't necessarily sold on this notion of democratic socialism yet. That's an argument he has to make, and I full well believe that Sanders can make that argument. Effectively, we're talking about a label here. The reality of it is, what are the policies? He can make that pitch. I think he can make that pitch. There's also a warning here, stark warning, for Democrats about the strategy that they may pursue in 2020. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is Progressive Soapbox. And guys, if you enjoy this content and you find yourself coming back to this channel often, please consider supporting this content through PayPal or Patreon. Like, share the videos. All those things are great. We even say $1 helps because in reality, $1 does help. YouTube demonetizes these channels. My wife's videos today was demonetized, and it was confirmed demonetized by a manual review. And I thought to myself, who on earth has watched that video and said to themselves, yep, this is a problem video, so we're going to demonetize it. Nevertheless, is what we live with as YouTubers. Support your content creators. I'll leave it at that. Let's do the news. So, Representative Nadler came out today and on Twitter, and he gave this comment. He's not pronouncing his words all that well, but ultimately what he's saying is that Muller will testify on the 17th of July. They've hounded, browbeat, threatened, and finally they've negotiated with the Justice Department for Mueller to testify. You must understand, Mueller did not want to testify. Mueller tried as hard as Mueller could to stay out of the limelight on this. He said, look, what I put in my document is everything that I wanted to say. You have 440 something pages of me saying it. This is what I want to say. That wasn't enough for Democrats. Democrats pretended as if there was something nefarious going on at the Justice Department where they needed to get Mueller to talk about it. I am pleased to announce that the House Judiciary and House Intel have Special Counsel Robert Mueller will testify in open session on July 17th pursuant to a subpoena issued this evening. Like I said, Mueller has done everything he could to avoid testifying. But they got him to testify. This comes across as overtly political. And I got to be honest, I've stopped covering this because I don't all that much care about this. Nevertheless, it will be an open session. Robert Mueller, in this case, is in a situation where Democrats are pretending that there is something nefarious going on at the Justice Department and that Barr is doing something, is hiding something. I would suppose that if you've indulged in a conspiracy theory for the last 2 years, that the moment that that conspiracy theory hits a brick wall, I suppose that if you could come up with a conspiracy theory for that long, you just assume that the brick wall and pretend that it doesn't exist. The Mueller report made it clear that Donald Trump wasn't working with the Russians, which was the primary assertion that Democrats and the media made. That assertion was wrong. The moment that assertion hit that brick wall, which was the Mueller report, which was the report that they hounded and bitched and complained that they wanted. They got what they wanted. And even with that, they pretended as if the brick wall didn't exist. We just got to keep digging. We'll hit gold at some point. We'll hit gold at some point. This notion that something nefarious is going to... Do you realize when the BuzzFeed article came out, and in that article, BuzzFeed wrote an article saying that Cohen was told by Trump to lie. Mueller came out and said that wasn't true. We're to believe that this guy who came out for something like that would essentially sit back and let Barr do stuff that is supposedly hiding something from the public, that Mueller would be pushed down in some way, but Mueller wouldn't respond to that. Mueller wouldn't come out and say that, look, the way Barr is representing this is wrong, etc., etc., etc. I'm just making the point that they're acting like something nefarious is going on in the Justice Department. And Mueller's just kind of sitting there not saying anything about that something going on. I think this is lunacy. This may backfire spectacularly. That's for, so July 17th, I suppose we'll see. I look at this as overtly political. And I look at this to some degree as a nonsense proposition. You said the guy was working with the Russians. That proves to be wrong. He wasn't working with the Russians. You pivot immediately, almost on a whim. I was covering the news report to obstruction of justice. That even though he wasn't working with the Russians, which was the main charge, that this ancillary charge, that he somehow impeded an investigation into something that did not exist. And he is supposed to be somehow impeached for that. And I'm supposed to look at that with any level of sincerity. And everybody says this with a straight face. This gets to me to be this kind of loony left. Ocasio-Cortez is pushing for this. Elizabeth Warren is pushing for this. Nancy Pelosi is like, whoa. Because Nancy Pelosi knows this may backfire spectacularly. You don't have the goods. If you want to say Donald Trump is a horrible president, I agree with you. But you need to give me something tangible and specific that you can impeach him on. Not, he impeded the investigation of something that was a conspiracy theory. The problem for Democrats, nobody cares. You're taking this extraordinary lift where you're bringing Mueller into the picture that he does not want to be in. With this notion that there is something going on, and with this notion of trying to get anything that you can hang your hat onto as to try to impeach Trump. The public doesn't care. You're taking an extraordinary, divisive lift for something that the public does not care about. And not just doesn't care about, you don't have the goods to pull off. I want to show you something. In the polling yesterday, I made note of issues that Sanders would have. But the Democrats also have an issue. The most important issue for voters in the economy at 33%, ranking at the top issue for all voters regardless of political affiliation. Essentially, look, we care about the economy because that's our livelihood, that's our living, that's our life. Healthcare is second most important issue for voters at 21%. You could understand why. Any healthcare bill that you have eats into your living. Healthcare is also an issue just like the economy. Those two things work in tandem. The ability of a person to feed themselves works in tandem with the ability of a person to be able to get themselves health care without having a bill that hounds them for the rest of their life. Those things work in tandem. Followed by immigration at 12%, social issues at 11%. Impeachment of President Trump was the least important of 9 issues presented with only 2%. When I say nobody cares, it's not just me. Nobody cares. Other Democrats care to some degree. But when you ask them about the things that matter to them, ultimately what you find out is things that hit their wallets, that affects their ability to take care of themselves and their own. Nothing changes with Donald Trump being impeached other than the technical issue of Trump being impeached. I asked my mom one day, because she was talking about impeachment, and I asked her a very basic question. If Trump was impeached, what in your life would tangibly change? What in your life changes? Explain that to me. You need to explain to me what in your life tangibly changes. Does your brother get more money in regards to him being able to take care of himself and his family? No, that doesn't happen at all. Do I have a bill less for healthcare? I mean, do I and my wife pay less for the amount that we pay for healthcare? There's extraordinary costs we pay for healthcare. No, we don't. And paying less for healthcare, mind you, or paying more for healthcare for not good healthcare. Does that change? No, that doesn't change at all. Like, I guess you go down the list of the things that matter to you, that affect you in your life, your ability to feed yourself, your ability to get health care, your ability for your family to feed themselves and get health care. Across the board, Does this change your life? And the answer is no, it doesn't. And I got to be honest, I have a personal pet peeve with this because you guys are going after Donald Trump when Bush was in office and Obama took office. They didn't care one iota. $7 trillion is what Bush put on the financial tab. In some of these cases, he wasn't even accepting the debt that was there. So Obama took it over when Obama got in office. But beyond that point, the 1 million Iraqis gone off the face of the earth because that guy said there were weapons of mass destruction and that didn't exist. And even if you want to hang your head on a torture issue, what Bush said and own up to the fact that we were engaged in torture, no consequences. None. But now we have Donald Trump and everybody hates Trump. And so you have a few lefties and a few, shills who are looking for any bit of political buzz that they can get in the election, looking at you, Elizabeth Warren, screaming, let's impeach him. Let's impeach him. Obama said we were looking forward. We're not looking back. And that's extraordinary since, it was pushed forth with a lie. And not just with a lie. 1 million dead. Gone. With families, loved ones. Gone. That's not that big of a deal to us, which is in and of itself extraordinary. But what about the 4,000 Americans? But yeah, let's impeach Trump. Let's do that. Nobody cares. Don't trust me. The polling says it. Nobody cares. You have a bunch of Democrats that may care. But ultimately, getting elected to president requires more than just Democrats. And you're going to take an issue that is overtly political. I don't even like Trump. And I can look at this and say, this is overtly political in the way that you are going about this. And you don't even need to go about it in this way. The second most important issue is healthcare. And you have a president that literally tried to rip healthcare away from millions of human beings who needed that healthcare. And you still, that doesn't register. This is the lift that you're going to take. This divisive lift. And a lift where you don't even get the Senate to go with you on it. Be aware. I gave the same warning to Sanders with the Democratic Socialist stuff. I give the same warning to you. You have 2% of the population that is with you on this. Don't get me wrong. There may be a higher percentage that says, yeah, I care about these other things, but I kind of also care about impeachment. Fact of the matter is that other things matter. They affect their lives. Impeachment doesn't. My question becomes more political. What's more advantageous? A president that's running in any election while also fighting impeachment? And does it backfire? Meaning, does part of the public look at this as so overtly political that they punish the Democratic Party for this in the sense of either not voting for the party or voting against the party to go against them? And I'm saying this from the standpoint of lefties. You have a lot of lefties who actually did vote for Trump. I disagree with them for doing so, but they did do so. And a lot of them massively are against this Russia nonsense that is being pushed. And what seems like a continuation of the Russia nonsense, the impeachment proceedings. If the impeachment was being done for something else, say they caught Trump with some kind of financial crime, say they caught Trump embezzling money, I don't know, say they caught Trump profiting off of some kind of political thing, say they caught Trump for something that was just overtly illegal. That's one thing. But that's not what is taking place. And the public, when regarded about it, 2%. I'll leave it here. Thanks all.